They took you out of the family chat, Mom. My son said it like he was telling me the weather. I was standing at Sarah's kitchen counter, drying a plate. Michael was leaning against the fridge, scrolling on his phone. Sarah was stirring a pot on the stove, back turned to both of us. The smell of tomato sauce filled the room. The Sunday roast clicked quietly in the oven. At first, I thought I had misheard him. "What did you say?" I asked. Michael didn't look up. "The family chat. We took you out. It was stressing you out." My hand went still on the dish towel. A drop of water slid off the plate and hit the floor. "I didn't say I wanted to leave," I said. My voice sounded small, even to me. "Nobody asked me." Sarah's shoulders lifted, then dropped, as if she were bracing for a draft. She kept stirring. "Mom," she said, "you know how you get. Every time someone doesn't answer right away, you call 3 times. You worry. You think something terrible happened. That's because you used it for everything," I replied. Birthdays. Schedules. Emma's recital. Noah's dentist. That's where you live now, in that little blue bubble. Michael sighed and finally locked his phone, but he still didn't meet my eyes. "It just became too much," he said. "You kept asking what every joke meant, or why someone sent a certain emoji. You took things the wrong way. We thought it would be easier if we just talked to you one-on-one." He said easier the way a person might talk about changing brands of dish soap. I put the plate down very carefully on the counter. "So you erased me," I said. "From my own family's conversation." "We didn't erase you," Sarah said quickly, turning around now. "We just made a smaller group. For planning. It's not personal." "Not personal," I repeated. "You called it family chat." Silence stretched between us. Somewhere in the living room, the television murmured. Emma and Noah were building something with blocks, their voices rising and falling like little birds. My phone lay face down on the table, where I had left it when I came in. Suddenly I understood why it had been so quiet that week. No pings, no pictures of dinners I hadn't cooked, no videos of Noah's soccer games I hadn't attended. I had thought they were just busy. Michael shifted, uncomfortable. "We were going to tell you," he said. "We just didn't know how." "You just did," I answered. Sarah took a step toward me, then stopped. Her eyes were soft, but there was a tiredness there, too. "Mom," she said, "we love you. We're not trying to hurt you. We're just trying to make things less intense." I picked up the dish towel again to have something to do with my hands. "I see," I said. "Less intense." I finished drying the plate and put it away. They went back to the stove and the fridge and their quiet exchange of glances. The roast came out perfectly brown. The children laughed at the table. I smiled where I was supposed to smile, passed the potatoes, praised the gravy. But all through dinner, I could feel the ghost of that chat buzzing where it used to be, in a part of my life that now sat silent. Later, when I got home, the house seemed to echo. I set my keys in the little dish by the door and picked up my phone. No new messages. No photos. No good night, everyone, with a row of hearts. I scrolled back through the old thread, through months of birthdays and jokes and reminders. My name sat at the top, gray and neat, as if nothing had changed. But somewhere out there, a new conversation was happening without me. I imagined their screens lighting up with things I would never see. Plans I wouldn't hear. Comments I wouldn't have the chance to misunderstand. I set the phone face down on the table. Back then, I didn't know that being erased from a little group on a little screen would make me question my place in my own family. If you've ever felt quietly pushed aside in your own family, stay with me, you need to hear what happened next. That night, I lay in bed with my phone on the nightstand, screen black, a small square of nothing. For years, that little device had been my window into my children's lives. When my husband died, the family chat became a kind of lifeline. Pictures of birthday cakes I wasn't there to taste. Noah holding up a muddy trophy. Emma with missing teeth, grinning at the camera. Silly memes I didn't always understand but laughed at anyway, because they meant my children were thinking of me. Now, the window felt boarded up. I turned on my side and stared at the shadow of the dresser. Maybe they were right, I thought. Maybe I did ask too many questions. I remembered the time Laura had sent a joke about boomer parents in the chat and added a laughing face. I had asked what boomer meant, and Michael had made a joke about dinosaurs learning to text. Everyone had sent laughing emojis. I had laughed too, but something had pinched inside my chest. I had always been willing to be the joke, if it meant being included. The next morning, I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table with my notebook. The cover was worn from years of grocery lists and half-finished letters I never sent. I wrote at the top of a blank page. What am I, if I am not in the chat? The question sat there, underlined twice, looking back at me. Later that week, I met my neighbor, Mrs. Ruiz, in the hallway. She was a retired nurse with a loud laugh and a small dog that hated everyone except me. You look like you swallowed a lemon, Lydia, she said, peering at my face. What's wrong? We sat on the bench outside our building while her dog sniffed the same patch of grass for the 100th time. They took me out of the family chat, I told her. My own children. They said it was easier. She snorted. Easier for who? She asked. For them, I suppose, I said. I told her about the Sunday lunch, the small shrug of Michael's shoulders, the way Sarah had stirred that pot as if she could keep the whole conversation from boiling over. Mrs. Ruiz listened, patting her dog's head. You know what my daughter did last year, she said. She muted my messages. I found out because I saw it on her phone by accident. Mom, notifications off. My eyes widened. What did you do? At first, I cried, she said simply. Then I prayed. Then I took my phone and I turned off the sound myself. For everyone. I decided my heart would not ring every time someone needed something or wanted to share a joke at midnight. If they needed me, they could call. If they wanted to see me, they could come. She smiled at me, a little sadly. We taught them to walk and to speak, she said. But we also taught them that we would always be there, any hour, any day. At some point, we must teach them something else, that we are not machines, we are people. Her words settled over me like a blanket, warm and a little heavy. I don't want to punish them, I said. I just don't want to feel erased. Maybe your answer, she replied, is not to beg to be written back in. Maybe your answer is to start writing your own life again. I thought that was the end of it, I was wrong. The following week, Sarah asked me to come over early to watch Emma while she finished some work at home. I arrived with a small bag of yarn and knitting needles. Emma was on the couch, tablet in hand, legs kicked up in the air. Grandma, look, she said, turning the screen. We made a new group chat. It has stickers that move. I felt my throat tighten. Oh? I asked softly. Who's in it? Mom, Dad, Uncle Michael, Aunt Laura, she recited. And me and Noah. It's called Family Fun. She paused, counting on her fingers. Why aren't you in it? She asked then, frowning. Your family. Sarah looked up from her laptop at the dining table, eyes flashing with warning. Emma, we talked about this, she said. Grandma gets overwhelmed with too many messages. We call her instead, remember? Emma opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. She glanced at me, then back at her screen. I sat down beside her and watched the little icons dancing on the glass. It's okay, I said. I don't need to be in every conversation. My voice was calm, but inside, something was shifting. That night, back in my quiet apartment, I opened my old chat with the family for the last time. I scrolled past the photos, the prayers, the silly gifts I hadn't understood. At the bottom, the last message from me sat there like a pebble at the edge of a river. Good night, everyone. Love you all. No one had answered it. Not because they didn't love me, I told myself, but because the river had moved elsewhere, to a place I could not see. I clicked on the information icon, looked at the list of names. My finger hovered over the word leave. I couldn't quite bring myself to do it. Not yet. Instead, I did something smaller. I turned off notifications. The silence that followed was different this time. It was not something done to me. It was something I chose. In the days that followed, I made other small choices. I joined a quilting circle at the community center. I started going early to church so I could sit and breathe in the quiet before the others arrived. I went to the library and let myself wander, picking up books I'd always meant to read. I still checked my phone. Old habits don't vanish overnight. But I stopped staring at it as if my worth would appear on the screen. One evening, as the sun went down and painted the living room wall orange, I sat at my table and wrote a letter. Not with thumbs on glass, but with a pen on real paper. Dear Sarah and Michael, I wrote. I told them I loved them. I told them I understood that group chats could be confusing and that I did sometimes worry too much. I admitted that I had clung to the beeps and buzzes because I missed being part of every detail of their lives. Then I wrote the truth. Being removed without being asked had hurt me more than they knew. I told them I did not want to argue over phones. I did not want to be the center of drama. I wanted something simpler and deeper, regular Sunday dinners, one-on-one calls, walks in the park, time with my grandchildren that did not need a Wi-Fi signal. I ended the letter with one sentence that had taken me all day to find. I cannot make you include me in a chat, but I can choose not to live like a notification that can be turned off. I mailed the letters the next morning, one to each house. That was my answer. Not a storm of texts, not guilt, not threats. Just a clear, firm line drawn in ink. For a few days, there was nothing. No calls. No knocks at my door. I went about my routines, feeling both lighter and strangely exposed, as if I had taken off a heavy coat in cold weather. Then, on Thursday evening, my phone rang. It was Michael. Hi, Mom, he said. His voice sounded younger, somehow. Got your letter. I sat down at the table. And? I asked. He was quiet for a moment. You're right, he said at last. We handled it badly. I thought we were fixing a problem. I didn't think about how it would feel to you. I'm sorry. A lump rose in my throat. Thank you, I said. That means a lot. I was thinking, he went on, clearing his throat, maybe we could have Sunday lunch at your place this time. No phones. Just us. My eyes stung. I'd like that, I said. Later, Sarah called, too. She cried, apologized, admitted she had been tired and overwhelmed and had chosen the quickest solution instead of the kindest one. She told me Emma had asked again why I wasn't on the family fun chat. Maybe we named it wrong, Sarah said. It isn't much fun if the person who made us a family in the first place feels left out. At the time, I didn't realize that those small phone calls would change the rhythm of our lives. The first Sunday they all came to my apartment, the place felt almost too full. Emma and Noah arrived with armfuls of board games. Sarah carried a casserole dish and a bouquet of grocery store flowers. Michael brought a bag of salad and, to my surprise, a pie from the bakery I liked. Phone's in here, I said gently, holding out a little woven basket I had placed on the hall table. They looked at me, startled. Just for a few hours, I added. Let's pretend the family chat is this room today. Michael chuckled and dropped his phone into the basket. Sarah hesitated, then did the same. Emma and Noah followed, giggling as if it were a game. The afternoon unrolled like a soft, warm blanket. We ate too much. We played a noisy game where Noah kept cheating and Emma kept catching him. Sarah helped me in the kitchen without sighing at how slowly I moved. Michael told stories about work that I actually understood, because he took the time to explain them. At one point, Emma climbed into my lap with an old photo album. "Show me when Mom was my age," she said. We flipped through pages together. I told stories, but this time, the audience was ready, and no one was afraid of what their friends might think, because the only people in the room were the ones who already knew all our flaws. Later, when the dishes were done and the leftovers were packed away, Sarah and Michael lingered by the door. "Mom," Sarah said, "we talked about the chat. We're going to make some changes. Less drama, fewer side conversations. And, if you want, we can add you back, or we can all just rely less on it and more on this." She gestured to the room, where Emma and Noah were sprawled on the rug, drawing. I looked at my grandchildren, at the light slanting through the window, at the empty basket where their devices had sat. "I don't need to be added back to anything right now," I said. What I needed was this. I touched my heart. For you to see me. Hear me. Talk to me, not about me. Michael nodded slowly. "We forgot," he said. "That you were a person on the other side of those messages. Not just a name on a screen." "You're not the only ones," I replied. I forgot, too. I forgot that I have a life beyond watching 3 little dots appear and disappear. They smiled, a bit sheepishly. As they left, Emma ran back to me for one last hug. "Grandma," she whispered, "next time can we have another Sunday like this? With games and stories and no buzzing phones?" "Yes, sweetheart," I said. Next time, and the time after that. That night, after the apartment was quiet again, I made myself a cup of tea. I sat by the window and watched the streetlights flicker on, one by one. My phone lay on the table. It did not glow. It did not call my name. I picked it up, opened the old family chat, and finally did what I hadn't been able to do before. I left the group. My hand didn't shake. I didn't feel erased. I felt spacious. They tried to erase me from a tiny square on a tiny screen, I thought. But my answer had been bigger than that. I had not begged to be invited back into their constant scroll. I had invited them out of it, into a room with real chairs and real hugs and real time. Sometimes, dignity is not about making a speech. It is about making a different choice. When you are young, love is loud, messages flying, photos flashing, constant chatter. When you are older, love can become something quieter but more solid. It is the courage to say, "I am here. I matter. I will not live only as an icon on your phone." As I turned off the lamp, I thought again of that Sunday in Sarah's kitchen, of Michael's careless words, of the silence that had followed. They tried to erase me from the family chat. My answer was simple. I stepped out of the chat, and back into my own life. If this story touched your heart, you can like this video, leave a comment, or share it with someone who might need to hear it. If you've ever felt treated like a burden, my next story may speak to you even more. And if you'd like more stories like this, you're always welcome to subscribe to this channel, Lydia's True Stories.